Today on the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement.
We are going to discuss how taking the easy way out can result in failure in retirement.
And on our Coach's Corner, we're going to go over some ugly truths that many retirees are blindsided by.
And on our Chalk Talk segment today, we're going to show you how to use 3 proactive strategies to give you confidence in retirement.
So sit back, relax, and learn. The Chad Slagle Show starts now.
I'm Chad Slagle. I believe financial planning is about educating people and empowering them to make better decisions with their hard-earned dollars. Coaching gives me satisfaction from watching a player succeed and get better. You need an experienced team around you. The best coaches have great assistant coaches. I have brought a lot of the techniques and structure I learned from playing and coaching football and apply them to the world of investing. My goal now is to coach as many individuals and families as I can on how to get successfully to and through retirement.
Welcome in to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. I'm Wendy Erickson here with the coach, Chad Slagle. Today on the Clipboard segment, we're going to discuss how taking the easy way out can result in failure in retirement.
When I was in 4th grade, we had to take standardized state tests at the end of the school year to make sure we could move up to 5th grade. And I'll admit, I was never the smartest kid in the room, and I really wasn't a strong test taker. However, one day I overheard an older kid talking about his secret trick to answering multiple choice questions. He said, if you don't know the answer, always put C. It will be right most of the time. Well, the following week was our state testing, and I was ready to go. And I may not have been the smartest kid in the room, but at that moment, I thought I was the cleverest. When the test started, I began filling in my answers slowly, but as soon as I noticed that the first kid in the room had finished his test, I marked the rest of the answers with C. And I did the same thing for the next 3 days of testing. It felt great finishing my test early, and I just knew the kids were thinking, wow, Chad really is smart. And you can probably guess where this is going. Fast forward to the first day of 5th grade, I walked into my classroom, and needless to say, I had been placed in a much different class. My testing method, shockingly to me, had not worked. Luckily, my mom took a trip to the principal's office, and I got it all straightened out. And of course, I got in some trouble for that over the whole thing, but I learned a lesson from that I've carried with me since. That's do not look for the easy way out. In order to have the payoff of a successful retirement, you have to put in the work. Oftentimes, people procrastinate planning for retirement. They don't have the time to put a plan together. But what they don't realize is that there isn't an easy way out. You must create a plan to be successful in retirement.
You learned a big lesson in 4th grade.
A big lesson. I got a lot of trouble too.
A lot of us out there, you can relate, I'm sure, to taking the easy way out. I know I take the easy way out sometimes, shortcuts with cooking. I figure my family's going to survive if everything doesn't taste exactly the way it's supposed to. But I did it this summer when I painted a room. I took a shortcut, and I didn't do all the prep work, and I only did 1 coat. I have to live with that. I look at this room every day that I know I'm going to have to repaint. So that was not a good thing.
And it eats you up, doesn't it?
It does. And then certainly with something with retirement, you don't want to mess around.
That's right.
That
there are a lot of surprises and risk in retirement that you must plan for. You can't wait until you start losing money or until your plan starts failing before you start preparing for retirement. By then, of course, it's going to be way too late. So today, we want to go over some ugly truths that often blindside retirees and pre-retirees on what you need to do now to prepare for them. And that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Because we don't want to learn the hard way like you did in 4th grade.
There's not an easy way out.
Okay. All right, we've got a big show ahead full of information for you. When we return on the Coach's Corner, we are going to make sure you know about those retirement ugly truths so that you are not blindsided. We'll be right back.
The number one concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your money than it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a 4-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan
and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri, at our Creve Coeur and Sunset Hills offices, or in Illinois at our Edwardsville, Springfield, and Jacksonville locations. So call now to get set up on the right path on your journey through retirement.
Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We are back with the coach, Chad Slagle, and his colleague, Chad Tobin. And today on the Coach's Corner, we're going to go over some ugly truths that many retirees are blindsided by.
That's right, Wendy. The realities you face when you stop working, unfortunately, might be a far cry from your retirement dream. When you sit down and visualize your retirement, you may picture your toes in the sand on a beach, maybe throwing the baseball with your grandkids, maybe riding rides at Disney with your family, or even traveling the world. But this, unfortunately, is not the reality for many retirees. Retirement is a brand new chapter of life, and it can be a scary one. Now, this new chapter brings along many life changes, and the most impactful of which is likely losing that regular income that you have coming in. And if you don't plan properly, there are some obstacles that could be detrimental to your retirement. Many people wind up financially stressed during their retirement years because they don't know what to expect. It's easy to visualize, retirement as a fun, carefree period of life, but the reality is that many people struggle financially throughout it. So today, we're going to make sure you are aware of some of the key ugly truths in retirement so that you can create a plan for them, of course, before it's too late and hopefully before the bad things happen, Chad.
Yeah, and I think, we talk about not getting caught off guard in retirement, and you guys were talking about not taking the easy way out earlier in the show. And I think now's the time to start focusing on some of those things that aren't so fun to focus on and really spend the time on the hard things now so that retirement can be easy in the future.
Blindsided is not something I think any of us want to happen when we're in retirement, because like you said, I'm looking forward to some good years, my golden years, where I can relax a little bit, but we need to get prepared. So let's jump in. What is the first ugly truth that we need to know about?
Well, the first one, of course, when you retire is don't run out of money. So we talk about running out of money. One of the biggest concerns of retirees today is outliving their money. According to the Social Security Administration, 1 in 4 65-year-olds in the U.S. will live past age 90. That means many of you will spend decades in retirement. Of course, we all hope to live a long, healthy life. But at the same time, it can be scary to think about living that many years without a steady paycheck coming in. And this is why it's so important to have a written retirement income plan that you can have confidence in even when the market takes a dive. The scary thing is that many retirees believe they have a solid income plan that they can never outlive, when in reality their plan or their advisor has created, Chad, what we call that maybe income plan. Maybe the market will recover quickly enough that you'll be okay. Maybe your money will last as long as you do. And the idea behind these plans are to invest the capital and systematically spend down the funds to create an income. The downside to this approach, of course, is there is a real risk that the plan will not perform as projected, causing your income, your livelihood, to be reduced or even disappear. So your necessary retirement income that you depend on is based on a maybe income plan, not a guaranteed income plan. That's like going to Vegas, so you might win and you might not.
Yeah, and I think obviously we all love it when things are going well and when the market's up. This is great. But however, we've seen periods of time when people retire and that market takes a dive. All of a sudden, this creates a very stressful retirement when that income gets kind of bothered by a market downturn.
Bothered if the market drops 40%, it's a very, very big deal. And that's why, if you have an advisor that puts all of your money in the market and says, hey, we're going to build a retirement plan that's going to last throughout the rest of your life, there's two things working against you. Number one, you have no idea if the market's going to go up or down. And of course, as you mentioned, Chad, we have no idea how long we're going to live. So it may or may not work.
Right.
All right, what would be the second ugly truth?
Well, the big ugly truth that we're seeing more and more of course, is high taxes. The amount of physical stimulus used to keep the U.S. economy afloat over the past year blows past packages out of the water. With the passage of President Biden's last stimulus plan, the total pandemic relief tab now totals $5 trillion. And of course, these relief packages did help our economy, but who do you think will end up paying for these stimulus packages in the long run? Likely you and I and other U.S. citizens in the form of taxes. And this can be extremely daunting if you're thinking about retiring in the near future, or if you're already retired. No one could have predicted this pandemic or the effect it's had on our economy. And now these rising taxes can greatly affect retirement plans. With everything that has happened over the past year and a half, it is unlikely that Congress will vote to extend the act that reduced taxes in 2017. If Congress votes against this extension, in 4 years, taxes will revert back to what they were in 2017. All that to say, tax rates are likely going up, if not in the next year, definitely in the next 4 years, Chad.
Yeah, and I think, so many retirees and many of our clients out there, they felt that they did everything right when they were working, and they were maxing out their 401k plans, and they were doing everything that Uncle Sam and the government was telling them because they felt they were going to be in a lower tax bracket when they retired. Now, what we see, they're having to take the required minimum distributions along with other income sources, and even today, many clients are maybe paying in the same tax bracket, if not higher, due to some of these required minimum distributions. So, this is something that many retirees thought, we're going to be in a lower tax bracket when we retire. However, it's a misconception, and a lot of times retirees are even, and as taxes go up, we may be in a higher bracket.
So now, not only do you need to do financial planning, now you need to make sure you're doing some tax planning as well.
All right, taxes can't avoid it. All right, hit us with that third ugly
The third
truth.
that we see going up a lot lately is inflation. According to the U.S. Labor Department's last inflation report in July of 21, inflation was reported to be 5.4%, which is the highest it's been since 2008 and still much higher than the pre-pandemic rate of 3.5%. In June, the cost of living also leaped by the largest amount since 2008, even exceeding economists' forecasts. The cost of used cars, food, clothing, plane tickets all increased. Even in normal times, retirees worry about running out of money, and rising prices caused by inflation only add to that anxiety and that stress. Inflation can blow up your retirement budget practically overnight, as unfortunately, Chad, a lot of people are seeing. Even if the price of groceries, gas, utilities, if they increase too greatly, you may have to completely rework your budget for a retiree or for you on a fixed budget or set income. And this can be very difficult in these times, Chad, and we have the ups and downs of the market.
Well, and I think this is a conversation. This term inflation is something that, retirees are now starting to see, and they're starting to talk a lot more about today than even the last few years, just because of what, Chad, you just mentioned. And inflationary risk, we also like to call it purchasing power risk. So, if we don't want to kind of put all of our money in that stock market and ride the ups and the downs, we also don't want to set it all over here in cash, because if inflation starts getting up there around 5% and you've got $1 million sitting in cash, your purchasing power is actually losing about $20,000 a year. So we have to understand how inflation impacts your retirement.
All right, good to know these ugly truths that we can't avoid, so we have to deal with them, right? All right. Well, if people have more questions about this, Chad, what is the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, first of all, if you have questions or concerns that you may have realized today, or to schedule a meeting, call us at the number below, 888-294-9248.
You guys are always ready with good information.
Always ready to educate.
All right, and we have more in this show, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Let's go.
He's such an involved dad. He's always telling the kids stories. I remember when so-and-so said I couldn't do this, or I didn't make this team. That's what drives him. In our family, we always tell our kids to stick up for each other, stand behind one another. He feels it's his role to provide, keep us safe, and to make sure that the kids are taken care of. A lot of Chad's clients have the same traditional values, and he bonds with them. Each family has a different set of circumstances, and each family is unique and different. The common thread between all of Chad's clients is that they want the best for their family, just as he would our own family.
Welcome back into the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. So we just discussed some ugly retirement truths that blindside many retirees. Now we're going to go through 3 proactive strategies to give you the confidence to face them.
That's right, Wendy. You know, it's hard to plan for what could go wrong in retirement because nobody wants to focus on the bad things or the downsides. However, by taking these ugly truths into account now and planning for them, you will have a much better chance of enjoying a successful retirement. And this is the retiree's version of work hard, play hard. By putting in the hard work of creating a plan now, you will be able to enjoy retirement without having to worry about what could go wrong. You know, one thing I tell my kids all the time is if you do what is easy, life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, life will be easy. And I recently had a gentleman come up to me after one of our workshops, and he had been watching the TV show and signed up to attend. And he said, with all the unpredictability in the world right now, rising prices, tax, etc., he didn't know how his retirement portfolio should be set up. And this is a concern we hear often in our office. And you can't control what is happening in the world today, but there are some strategies that will help make sure you are prepared for the unexpected and be proactive, Chad, not reactive.
Well, and I think, you know, we often hear as we bring on a client, and it's happened for the last many, many years, you know, we hear, Chad, I wish we would have met you 10 years ago, or wish we wouldn't have taken this long. And so as you just mentioned, you know, it's so important now to be proactive as opposed to wait until this market drops or something negative happens that really impacts your portfolio.
All right, so we talked about the first ugly truth being the fear of running out of money. Many retirees are in that boat. And what's the first strategy that we can deal with that?
Like with
head
anything else, when you want to build something, you have to have a blueprint. You have to have a game plan. So we talk about a written retirement plan. Making sure you have enough income coming in retirement is one of the most important aspects of planning for retirement. To make sure you are prepared, you need to have a written retirement income plan, something that is physically written down so you can go back to it and review it and make changes as life happens. Many people do not take the time to do this for their retirement. There's no way of knowing how long you will live, so you need an income stream that you can never outlive, no matter how long that may be. And you need an advisor who works in all 3 financial worlds instead of a maybe income plan that relies on the market to do well. An advisor who works in all 3 worlds is able to use all the tools in the Wall Street world to allow your money to grow. The insurance world to provide for that safety and that income, and the banking world so that you have that liquidity and access to your money. And this strategy will provide you with that essential written retirement income plan that will show you where your money is coming from and allow you to have peace of mind in retirement instead of worrying about, Chad, is the market going to go up? Is the market going to go down? And worry about every morning when you get up, you're turning on your computer, you're opening up your newspaper, what's the market doing today? In retirement, you shouldn't have to have that stress and you shouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and you know, at the same time, people have accounts and set up all over the place, and all of a sudden, you know, they have no idea how to get that income from their accounts. And as Chad just mentioned, being able to use all 3 worlds to build that plan so you know exactly where the income is coming from and how long that income is going to last. So retirees, don't procrastinate, take action, and you know, do your research. You find that right advisor, find the right firm that's going to put your best interest first and build that plan for you.
And I think another thing, Chad, that we see often in our office is people know they have to do this, but as Chad said, they have all these accounts, they don't know where to start, so guess what they do? They get decision paralysis and do absolutely nothing, and you do not want to get caught up in that because that could, like we talked about earlier, that could be detrimental later on in life.
All right, so what about a strategy to the fact that taxes are going up?
You need to have a strategic tax plan. One important tax change that you can make is legacy optimization or a Roth conversion strategy. And when we talk about this, you are taking qualified money, which is money that will eventually be taxed, and putting it in a tax-free vehicle so that when you do need to draw this money out later on, you do not have that tax burden that you would have otherwise. And there are a couple of big benefits to using one of these strategies. Number one, you will be locking in today's lower tax rates, whereas if you wait, next year or 4 more years, tax rates will likely go up and you'll be paying even more. Number two, you lock in a 0% tax rate on those Roth funds for the rest of your life and your spouse's life and for 10 years after your death for your beneficiaries. Plus, The Roth IRA owners are those using the legacy optimization strategy, have no lifetime RMDs, those required minimum distributions, once they reach age 72. But those have to you have to have qualified accounts, Chad, to do so. And there's different ways to do it. So you want to make sure that you're dotting all your I's and crossing your T's, if you will.
Yeah, and I think, very simply, we are, many of us, retirees, individuals, and a lot of advisors are so used to having you pay attention to your taxes on a micro level. Every year, hey, let's figure out what your tax strategy is. How are we gonna take the RMDs, and forget about it again until next year. So we challenge our clients to now think macro, and how can we look at the bigger picture to strategically move money out of qualified accounts into tax-free buckets, not only for yourself, your spouse, but for your family's long-term tax-free.
All right, and what's the final strategy we need to know?
The final one is to make sure, one of the best strategies for your portfolio to keep up with the rate of inflation is making sure it is diversified. Many people believe their portfolios accounts for inflation when they have the majority of their investments in the stock market. And one promising statistic is that the 100-year inflation average is about 3%, while the S&P 500 earns about 7% yearly. But what happens if there is a big correction? On the other hand, there are people who are scared of the market and take all of their money out and sit in the sidelines, as Chad talked about. They put most of their money in the bank and they think they aren't losing any. The thing is, your savings accounts may grow at 1% annually, but if inflation creeps up to 3, 4, or 5% or more, you are realistically losing money. So it is smart to keep adequate cash on hand in an account you can easily access. So having some money in the bank or a money market account is wise, but you should also have a mix of investments to be protected against long-term inflation. The goal of a well-balanced portfolio is to have some stocks, some ETFs that historically track inflation, as well as conservative assets that protect against large losses, but also, Chad, will give you that income stream that you know is going to last throughout the rest of your life.
Yeah, and traditionally, the stock market's going to help you keep up with inflation and give you that longevity insurance for growth. But as Chad just mentioned, at the end of the day, that holistic plan, needs to have money that's secure, that you don't have to worry about the market losses, and give you the income that's coming in, and have some good dividend paying stocks, some low cost index funds that can give you the long-term growth.
In order for those of you out there watching to make sure your retirement is on the right path, Slagle Financial has educational events coming up in your area. To sign up for one of these events, call the number below, 888-294-9248. When we come back on the strategy play, the Chads are going to go over the current problems they're seeing when seeing the most is what I should say, when reviewing portfolios, and some strategies to address them. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The number one concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your money that it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a 4-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri, at our Creve Coeur and Sunset Hills offices, or in Illinois at our Edwardsville, Springfield, and Jacksonville locations. So call now to get set up on the right path on your journey through retirement. Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. On this week's strategy play, we're going to discuss some of the common problems we see when people walk into our office and show you the steps that you need to take now to address them. And we're going to talk about the 3 main ones. And the first one, of course, Chad, with the market being at all-time highs, is risk tolerance. Number 1, how much risk are you taking? And number 2, how much risk can you really afford to be taking at this stage of your life? And of course, number 2, Chad, would be income. How do you know if you got an income stream coming in when you retire that's going to last the rest of your life and the rest of your spouse's life?
So most of the time people are coming in, they're taking on way too much risk. They have no idea and never really thought about how much they're comfortable losing. And number two, that portfolio is set up for growth. So it's not really producing much income, much dividends. So what we want to do is we want to help build that plan to give them balance so we have some safe, secure growth. But we also have some longevity insurance, as we talked about, with some dividend-paying stocks and some low-cost investments to give us that long-term growth.
And then the third problem we see is hopefully you've built up this nest egg, you have plenty of income coming in, but a lot of your money is sitting in qualified accounts, money that you really don't need. But if you live long enough, the government's going to make you draw all this money out, pay tax on, of course. Also, it's going to be taxed to your beneficiaries as well.
Yeah, and I think we talked about one strategy is that Roth conversion, but here we're showing you that legacy optimization where you take that IRA, that taxable bucket, even if it's a third of that over the next 5 years when taxes may be lower than in the future, get that over into that tax-free bucket for legacy. That also protects you with long-term care and can truly leverage $1 to 2 or 3 times tax-free to your family.
Are you worried about your portfolio taking too much risk? Are you confident that you have an income stream you will never outlive? If you're having doubts, we encourage you to give us a call today for a second opinion, and that's this week's Strategy Play.
To get more detailed information on these strategies and how they can work for you, call the team at Slagle Financial now to schedule your 5-point inspection. The number is 888-294-9248. And we'll be right back with some of the key takeaways from today.
Chad Slagle and join.
I'll be with you guys in just a few minutes.
When it comes to your health, your life, your family, your home, and your hard-earned dollars, of course you want to make sure you're working with that sharp, energetic, knowledgeable individual that is always looking out for your best interest.
Such short notice. Appreciate it. Thanks.
It's time to get your financial house in order. This is the new age of retirement planning. In the Wall Street world, that's what they talk about. You got to have
Now back into the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through
We
retirement.
are Slagle Financial. Call now, 888-294-9248.
Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We've covered a lot today. What would you say are some of the key takeaways, Chad?
Number one, know how your money is invested and what your money invested in, and make sure that you have a plan. Number two, minimize taxes with reallocation and make sure you not only have a financial plan, but you have a tax plan. And number three, combat inflation with diversification and make sure that you have a little bit of money in all three worlds and make sure you have an advisor that works in all three.
Slagle Financial and their team of advisors have educational events coming up in your area to make sure you are prepared for today's retirement. To sign up for one of these events or to schedule a meeting with Slagle Financial's team of advisors, call 888-294-9248.
Remember, folks, success is waking up in the morning, whoever you are, wherever you are, no matter how old or young you are, and bounding out of bed because there's something out there that you love to do, that you believe in, that you're good at, and you can hardly wait to get at it again today. At Slagle Financial, realize that this is bigger than our team. It's about educating you, the public, and our wonderful clients, and empowering you to make better decisions with your hard-earned dollars. For my colleague Chad Tobin, my co-host Wendy Erickson, this is the coach Chad Slagle. Thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to visiting with each and every one of you next week.